We have a power pack panel for you. Ms. Katia, can you come up? Katia, and we have Ife Williams, who's the national president of the National Congress of Black Women. Let's give it a hand for her. You know, Shirley was one of the, yes, just anyone. She was one of the founding members of the National Congress of Black Women. We have Ms. Patricia Lattimore, who's the president of DREF Foundation, the national president. Patricia, can you come up? We have Ms. Ashley Emerson with the Mayor's Office of African Affairs. Can you please come up? We got a power pack panel here, you all. We have Ms. Nuez. Where are you? You got here? Yes, she is the vice president of the National Organization of Women. Now, I believe Shirley was one of the founding members of that too, wasn't she? Wow. Yeah, you know, she was for all women. You can walk around there. Now, we have another young lady, but we're gonna, Miss Amy, we're gonna come to you with the microphone over there and you can speak because we had one of our guests that did come that we weren't sure was gonna be here, but we will definitely get to you and have you speak. Amy, how do you pronounce your last name? Yeba? Yeba? Yeah, she's assistant professor of African Studies at Howard University. Yes. So normally I moderate these things, but I'm going to get out the way and let the women take over like they should. Ms. Katia, yes. It's all you.
Is Dominique joining us later?
Yes.
Or?
Oh, yes. Dominique is joining us. She's here she comes.
There she is.
All right.
Yay.
Testing 1, 2.
Well, again, did you all enjoy tonight? Can we just say thank you to Adele, to Dominique? This was extraordinary. And, you know, we talked a little bit on air about the vision and the mission of Shirley Chisholm. And what we saw tonight, many of you might have known, but I'm sure there were some that did not know, what a tough road she had. You know, it was not easy, and to be, I won't say betrayed, but not to be supported by your own is always the worst feeling, right? So I want to start with Dominique, and then I want to open it up to the others on the panel. First of all, to talk about how you channeled Shirley Chisholm so deeply, and how you were able to convey both the triumph and the beauty and the disappointment at the same time.
So I did a lot of watching footage of Shirley Chisholm, trying to get down her intonations, her mannerisms, and things like that. One documentary that everyone should probably check out is Chisholm 72, Boss. For me? So you don't. Oh, okay. Awesome. Put this one back so it doesn't leave it. Awesome. So yeah, I just did a lot of watching her and then just trying to connect with parts of her that I felt that were already close to me in some sense, like her strength and the fact that she had a speech problem. I had a lisp when I was younger and talked with my tongue. My mother will always say, I'm going to send you to a speech therapist. So yeah, that's how I prepared, yeah.
Dr. Williams, I want to come to you next, if you don't mind. Because, you know, you also, you of course, are the president and CEO of the National Congress of Black Women. And of course, Shirley Chisholm was a founding member. What lessons did you take, or do you still take, from Shirley Chisholm?
Well, I, of course, took from her courage. Shortly after Shirley ran for the U.S. Congress and won, I ran for the United States Congress in Louisiana. First of all, it was shocking to everybody except me. I didn't know any better. But I found myself getting to know Shirley. I marched with her in a West Indian Day parade in New York. I spoke on the same platform with her down in Little Rock, Arkansas, at a Delta conference where I was the main speaker. She was best friends to someone I worked for and who was my best friend, Congressman Mervyn Dimely at the time. So all of that together just taught me how to be courageous and to do what I wanted to do rather than what somebody else told me that I shouldn't do. No one had run a viable campaign in Louisiana who looked like me, statewide, anywhere statewide. But I didn't know any better. I just, listened to Shirley. I saw her campaign and saw how close, I could come. Nobody believed I could. I just gotten out of law school, but I decided to go back to Louisiana after living abroad, came back, went to Louisiana, and just a few months into the race, people were saying, Williams may have the key to this race. Well, of course, things really started to happen then. The Klan is down there. A gentleman, I remember one night, said to me, young lady, that must be about the best speech I ever heard, but it must be difficult having all that education and still being colored. Well, those were the kinds of things I faced. I refusal to shake my hand, but I just kept smiling and going on. And I received my first time out to run for anything, almost 100,000 votes, 97 point something. And nobody believed that I could. I was announced as the winner, by the way, and there was a mysterious computer breakdown. It was called back. But, having that Shirley Chisholm spirit, I've continued to do many things. She's my soror. I love her. And to this day, I quote her almost every time that I talk. Mm-hmm. So it would be courage.
Very good. If we can pass the mic. And if you don't mind, for my edification and for the audience, can you state your name and your Lynn ran through them very quickly. So if you state your name and your affiliation as you answer, and you were nodding your head, so I know you got lots to say on this issue. So go right ahead.
My name is Pat Lattimore. Please forgive the frog that has taken up residence in my throat. Thank you. I'm the 22-year-old on the far right of that picture. I had a great time. Major catalyst in my career journey to be with Chisholm from 68 to 72, which is how I met this infamous woman right here, as they forged the way with Betty Friedan and Gloria Steinem and others to move the women's movement as well as the African-American movement. And what I learned is that you can do anything. Just put your mind to it and do it. You blot out the naysayers. And it propelled me for 38 more good years of federal service through the senior executive service, and I would not have been able to pull it off because I honestly was like you. I believed I could do anything. I could run right through that wall until I dropped down.
Thank you, Pat. Please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christian Nunez, and I'm the National Vice President for the National Organization for Women. And just like the two other wonderful legends I'm sitting next to have shared, Shirley Chisholm really embodies perseverance for me and also determination. More importantly, I think about when we have things in our vision or destiny, we have to understand that everyone around us may not understand our destiny, but if we know it's our destiny, whether it's God-given or however we believe, we have to continue forth through it and not be, not be destroyed, defeated, despaired, anything. We have to continue forth in that destiny that we know is for us.
Thank you, Christian. And Ashley?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Emerson, Executive Director of the Mayor's Office on African American Affairs. I'm really honored to be here on behalf of the mayor. And I'm just thinking about your performance. How spectacular was that? And it truly shows leadership to be the only one up here doing all of what she did, embodying Ms. Chisholm. And it's great for our young people to see that, our young women, even our young men, to see us leading. And I believe that's what we embody. And I'm going to speak for the mayor on this because I know she looks at Shirley Chisholm and see leadership. And how do I lead a whole city under my leadership? And making sure that from every angle, we're running a city that is prosperous, that is inclusive, that is diverse, and that is very hard to do, especially as a Black woman. And so I'm just honored to be here with all of you and embracing what that means for our youth.
Thank you, Ashley. Yep, please. So, you know, these days we throw around the term intersectionality very loosely, right? Everyone's intersectional, and our politics is intersectional, and our culture and everything. But Shirley was really a pioneer with intersectionality. I love the way she said, I am Black, but I'm not just for the Black voter. I am a woman, but I'm not for the woman voter. As Black women, we often, almost always, sit at that crossroads. We almost don't have a choice in it, right? We have to sit at the crossroads. How do each of you manage this? And do you, I know with language it's code switching, but is there, how do you balance those two things? Because we know, for instance, Christian, I'm looking at you now, because we know that in the feminist movement, right, there's always this argument of Black women are always there for whatever the women's issue is, the feminist issue is, but white women are not often there when it comes to the Black issue. So how do, as Shirley Chisholm so beautifully did, and she really was unbought and unbossed, she spoke her mind, and I think it cost her, frankly. I mean, when I look at her life, on some levels, I mean, she had a successful life, but it cost her. How do we negotiate that, even still, when it's still such an issue? And I'll start with you, Christian, if you don't mind.
This is a
Sorry to put you on the hot seat.
No. This is a fabulous question, because I will tell you, as an African American woman, as vice president of a national organization for women, although Polly Murray and Shirley Chisholm were co-founders, they helped start it, and they helped start it because of racial injustice they were feeling and experiencing, and gender issues they were experiencing as well. It is still a challenge. I will tell you, it is still a very much challenge. And this right now, actually with NOW, I've taken on leadership of making sure our organization moves forward with a racial equity and inclusion plan that we're moving through our whole organization, because if we don't check ourselves, right, how can we go out and say we're working and advocating for everyone else if we're not doing the work on our own selves and recognizing our own bias? But it's a constant, education. And I know sometimes that wears on Black women, we always have to be like, okay, let me tell you, let me explain this to you. Let me help you understand what it's like. Always trying to explain it. And people have gotten a habit of using intersectionality, that term, but not understanding what that term really means. So I just make an effort in my role in leadership to make sure that I'm very transparent, I'm very honest, and intentional with how I communicate racial justice, racial equity, and my role as a Black woman. I cannot choose either one. I'm both, right? So for me, I have no problem speaking out and saying this is how this affects me. And if we're really moving forward for justice and rights for all, we cannot separate the two. We can't have a women's movement without having a racial justice movement. So we have to have both. And we don't live a siloed life, when we're fighting for justice. If you're gonna fight for one cause, you have to fight for all causes. And NOW's mission is that we're fighting for oppressed and women of color, marginalized groups. So there's no way we can get around it. And I'm making sure we're not gonna get around it, because at this point, I'm like, we have to address all, we can't choose.
Dr. Williams, thank you, Christian. Yeah.
Long before you, I'm a former member of the National Organization for Women. I was on the board of directors. But what I wanted to say about Shirley in terms of what she taught us, because she came, before me, and it's incumbent upon us to listen to our sisters. I faced some of the same challenges she faced, and I know that women are still facing some of those challenges today. So it's incumbent upon all of us to help other women that we see are running for offices or doing things that are for the best interests of our community. For example, Shirley had problems with the Congressional Black Caucus. When I ran, I had no member of the Louisiana Legislators Black Caucus supporting me. They were all supporting one of my white gentlemen who were running against me, all of whom were themselves in the legislature or were working for Congress people or what have you. But I didn't listen to that. I was still kind to them. Kindness can really kill you, you know. But the important thing was I just kept on working, and received more votes than any of them had ever before received for anything. I got 99% of the black vote. I'm still wondering where the other percent went. But the point is they'd never gotten that percentage of the vote either. So I just kept on working because, if you get discouraged by it, then you don't get anywhere. Now I want to tell you the one problem with all of it is they could have helped. There were 30,000 registered black people in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I lost, with the computer breakdown, by less than 0.5%. They could have made a difference, but I think I taught them a lesson because now Louisiana didn't have one single black mayor when I ran to help me. Today, there are more than 20 black women mayors in Louisiana. Mayor of New Orleans. Mayor of New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and a whole bunch of other cities. So that's and when I visit these towns, they do tell me that they were inspired by my race, just as I was inspired by Shirley.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. I want to come, were you about to say something, Pat? Did you want to add to that?
All I was going to add is that when you talk about the intersectionality, the one thing that resonates with me with Chisholm, that it was not only about the sectors that you represent, it was also community. Because she was the one person when the garbage strike hit Bedford-Stuyvesant that we had to spend a week a month working in. She got involved in that. When DC, when she was living here, she got involved with Marion Barry and Mary Treadwell with the Rat Pride effort, and she bolstered and worked that. She believed that where you were is where you have to work and participate, and she was all into all of that.
Thank you. Dominique, I want to pose that question to you because I think you're a millennial. Are you a millennial? Kind of? Are you on the cusp? Are you right there? You're a young person.
Labels.
And well, they are labels, but I bring it up because I do find that young people, my generation, our generation, have a different sensibility around intersectionality. And I learned from my daughter and her friends that it really feels different to them. They're multiracial, they're gender, sexual preference, none of that comes into play with them. It's just like, are you a good person or not? How does intersectionality play out among your generation, and how do you see yourself? Where do you see yourself?
So as a black woman, it's like both. I get the woman and black. And it's funny because at work, someone told me, and it came from a mixed race person, so she's part black, part white, and she said, your problem is you're too black for your own good.
Wow.
Because I speak on things that I see like are an issue racially and things like that, like that's just who I am. I need to speak on it, and I'm not going to let things go by. And when I speak on things and I think my passion is taken for aggression or what have you, as a black woman, but a white woman who I work with can be equally passionate, but no one would bat an eye or label her as aggressive or what have you. And I'm thankful for having people in my life to remind me, no, be who you are, stand in your truth. And that's what Shirley, playing her, has helped me to remind me every day to stand in my truth and who I am. And there's nothing wrong with shedding light on injustice. And women, I do have a problem with certain segments of the feminism movement that white women ignore, I find, or they gaslight you, basically. I went to a school that's majority white, and in the class we spend a lot of time together, I just was really isolated a lot of the times, being the only black girl, woman, and no one wanted to understood where I was coming from or the issues. Like, they can take issues with men on things, but when I take issues, like, they sit back. And that was my problem. I'm like, if we're sisters, if we're women, let's stand together on all issues of injustice, not just your problems and you being the victim. You're the only victim here.
Unity, as Shirley Chisholm talked about. I'm going to ask one final question, and then I think, Lynn, we can open it up to the audience for questions. Can we do that? Yes? After this question? Oh, he's not answering me, so we're going to ask the question. And then he's going to tell me. So we all stand on the shoulders of Shirley Chisholm, whether we're men, women, whomever we are, whatever color we are, we stand on the shoulders of Shirley Chisholm. I will refrain from any political comment, but there's I think a campaign right now that stands on the shoulders of Shirley Chisholm, if you listen to her. So we all stand on her shoulders. What responsibility, obligation do we have to make sure that our shoulders are ready for the young people that we saw today? And I'll start with you. You want to start, Christian? Or Ashley, and then Christian?
Sure, I'll start. I think we just have to be respectable. I think that's super important because we often see in media women, especially Black women, being represented in a way that is not as tasteful, that is not as true to who we are. Education and the ability to be proud sometimes is subdued. And so I think it's very important for us to be Black, be women, be proud. Continuing this whole embodiment of Black excellence is really important. And that's something I strive to do every single day in my role as the director of the Mayor's Office on African American Affairs in a historically Black city. And for our girls to see that it's something special. And so we want to continue just upholding that value that we have and not letting anybody diminish that. Whether it's a white man, white woman, anybody, diminish who we are. And coming together as sisters to show that we're Black and we're proud to be women.
Thank you, Ashley. Christian, you wanted to add to that? Yeah, you clap.
So I have a different understanding and experience of what I thought we need to do. First I want to say that Black women have been doing all the work. We have been getting everyone elected. We have been running their campaigns. We have been holding it down for everyone. So therefore, I feel it's not our job as a Black woman, it is everyone else's job. This includes men, white women, Black men, to help us, uplift us, fund our campaigns, give us money, walk for us, make phone calls. It is not our job anymore. We have done the work. We have been doing the work. We are still doing the work. So I feel it's important that everyone needs to get behind the Black woman. If we look at this campaign, Kamala Harris had to drop out because no one would invest in her. We are doing erasure of Black women in so many areas, and we need to talk about that and hold everyone else responsible for the same way we are good enough to run your campaign, right? Because every last presidential candidate had a Black campaign manager, okay? So we're good enough to run your campaign. We're good enough to do your chicken dinners at the church, I'm just being honest, right? To help you. We are good enough for all these different areas, but why are we not good enough and have value enough for you to support us? And so I think it's for everyone else to come and put your back out and lend your hand to help uplift Black women and the pure beauty and intelligence that we have. So that's my opinion about that.
Yeah, amen. Dr. Williams?
I would say never be satisfied with being the first unless there's also a second, a third, and a fourth that you have helped to become who they are.
Okay. Pat?
I guess my takeaway as I listen to this in my own experiences, don't be stifled by the image of the angry Black woman. It's okay to be angry. If you're angry about
Be
the right
authentic.
things,
Be your authentic self.
it's okay to be
Yes.
angry.
Yes. I think, Lynn, can we open it up to questions now, or? Okay. I will walk around with the mic so people can. hear you? I'll start here.
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm Dr. Jean Purchase-Tutter, a product of Howard University 4 times, and the class of 1970. Yeah, I was about to say that because I'm an educator, but I was being nice. Yeah. But I wanted to find out, in 50 years of living in this country, I found that in the 60s and 70s, I'm a girl of the 60s and 70s, hello, we were much more cohesive. Shirley Chisholm's Barbadianism and her Guyanism or origin were not as important as her cause. Today, apart from people like my darling friend over there, I always put her out there, Lydia Curtis from Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, and she takes her young people to Tanzania every time she gets enough money. Y'all give her a clap. I don't know, we don't like to applaud each other. Stand up, girl. Yes. So she has a diasporan organization, and she doesn't care about Jamaican, Barbadian, Guyanese, Philadelphian, DC hood girl, go-go girl, hip-hop girl, or hip-hop boy. She takes them for that experience. The last one was to Tanzania. My question is to whoever, how can we bring back that spirit of one love? Because unless we have one love, it doesn't matter what part. I'm Twi. I've been to Ghana, but I was born in St. Andrew, Jamaica. It doesn't matter. We're just seeds scattered all over on some piece of land, but unless we can unify as women, women of color, men of color, whatever, transvestites of color, I don't care what it is. And in a classroom, I go like that. And somebody says, what were you going to say, Dr. Tull? I said, it's in your mind, not my mouth.
Amen. Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Could I start with that? Because we just, for Black History Month, we had conversations, across the African diaspora. And it was a room just like this, filled with beautiful people from all over. And yes, were you there? Yeah. Oh, awesome. Okay, good. And someone, they said, well, how did we come to talk about the diaspora during Black History Month? I said, that's exactly when we should talk about the diaspora during Black History Month, because we're all rooted in Africa, right? And we have to realize, despite our nationalities or cultures, we're all Black people. And so the mayor has several community affairs offices here in the district: African affairs, African American affairs, Caribbean affairs, Latino affairs, Asian Pacific Islander affairs. And we're all rooted in the same, like you said, cause, and that's community. So I'm hoping that we can continue to do things to bridge those gaps, because at the end of the day, we're Black.
Excellent.
I've just
Dr. Williams, you want to add real quick?
just left a meeting in Orlando, Florida, and I don't know how many of you listen to my radio program, Ed, right? I'm supposed to say that. WPFW FM 89.3. Wake up and stay woke, Wednesday morning, 10 o'clock. But anyway, I met Ambassador Arikana Kwao. I don't know how many of you have heard her. She was just recently relieved of duty by the men who couldn't handle her brilliance, but she hasn't quit. She is working on 2 organizations now. One, of course, is called the Legacy Organization, where she wants to raise money to bring young people to Africa and vice versa, so that we can get to know each other. We've never really had a chance to know each other. So we all ought to be supporting her. When you hear that name, Arikana, Ambassador Arikana, be sure to listen to her. She has a lot of ideas on how we can come together, how we can work together. And she just appointed me to do something. Every time I get in and work with somebody, they appoint me to do something. But anyway, we'll be calling on you soon and telling you more about it.
Thank you. We're going to take our last question, and then we hope that you will continue this conversation at the bar, in the back, and thank you for coming. Fahima?
Just very briefly, thank you, Ms. Brown, for channeling Shirley Chisholm. I'm from New York. I'm not from Brooklyn, but I did go to Medgar Evers College, and Una Clark had the seat that Shirley Chisholm has, and now Yvette Clark holds that seat. And I want to know, I guess mainly for Mr. Dyson, is there any plan to take this play to Restoration Plaza, which is in Bed-Stuy?
We've reached out to Congressman Clark's office already, and we're waiting for a reply. But those of you who are in New York, say you want to see this show, call your congressperson, let them know. I said, I understand she's unveiling the statue of Chisholm soon. I don't know when. This play should be playing up there when that happens, okay? All right. So I think the young lady that was here, you good? Okay. Katia, if there's no other final, Kimon, yes.
Okay, of course, we have to take We Act Radio.
I hope this doesn't affect your funding, big brother. But I could not let us walk out of here and we don't address the elephant in the room. We are here honoring Shirley Chisholm, unbought, unbossed. And right now, we're seeing a lot of black folks who have been bought and bossed, okay? So there's this nice shirt that goes around saying, I'm rooting for everybody black. I have a problem with that, because Candace Owens is black. Clarence Thomas is black. Ben Carson was black. I mean, I don't, you know that saying, everybody my skin folk ain't my kinfolk? We need to challenge each other, no doubt. We need to support the ones that's about that life, no doubt. But let's not walk out here, you know what I'm saying, just because they put a smiley face on this thing. That's not Shirley Chisholm's legacy, okay? That's not her legacy. So let's make sure that we walk out of this room representing her true legacy, all right? Because a lot of folks out here faking the funk and they got receipts to prove it, okay? And I want us to take this personal. My mama, who happens to be a black woman, loves Condoleezza Rice. She thinks she was just doing her job, was great, wonderful. I had to challenge her. Don't be walking around here afraid to challenge people on their problems, okay? So that's all I just want to say there. Stay woke. Thank you.
Are we finished? We want to thank our incredible panel. Can we give them a round of applause? Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Katia. Thank WPFW. Before you go, let's give him a big hand. Lynn Allen, can you come up for a hot second here? I had a conversation with Glenn today, and we came up with a wonderful, I think it's a wonderful idea. Glenn is going to talk a little bit about the DC Black Theater Festival and bringing back Campaign 72.
How's everybody doing? I know you want to go home. I know you want to go home. So, all right, so Lynn, we invited Lynn, and Lynn comes every year, but we do the DC Black Theater and Arts Festival. This is our 11th year? 12th year? And so we just want to invite you. We want to invite you all in as we do work like this that looks like us and tells our stories. So go online, take a look at the website, let us know what you think, and come out and visit us.
Right, and we start June 21st, but if you look at the website, there's a call now for artists, for writers, for producers, for everybody that could be involved in the production. So we need you all to come out and support. Lynn first saw this piece as a part of the DC Black Theater Festival in June. He loved it, and I really want to give him accolades because he wanted to bring it back. He wanted the community to come out and support, which you have. He wanted the community to help produce, which we have, and he also wanted the young people to be trained. He has multimedia, which he's been training young people for a long time, for them to be involved. So I want to give them an extra special accolade. And it's interesting that on the elevator it says, without community, you can't get anything done. And that's what he's created here. So, and all of you, of course, are part of that.
So can I tell this real quick? Let me say this real quick.
Don't forget to fill out these forms.
So when Odell came to me with this play, the actor that he had was in LA. But I had a sister who auditioned for us in 2010. And I remembered her. And so I called Odell and I said, I have the perfect person. Was I right?
Okay, you all, thank you so very much.